President Donald Trump's 25% tariffs on all goods from Canada and Mexico could have a significant impact on the construction industry. For a look at how, we're joined by the CEO of the Hispanic Construction Council, George Carrillo. George, it's good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. How much of America's
Hi, thank you.
construction supply, yeah, it's great to see you. How much of America's construction supply comes from Mexico and Canada to start off with?
Right now, it depends on what industries we're talking about. What really affects the construction industry is going to be our lumber, our cement, and our steel. With our lumber, we approximately import about 46%. In our cement, we get about 24%, and steel about 21%. So these are major impacts within our economy when we think about the construction industry here in the United States.
Yeah, and how could these tariffs from these two countries impact the cost of construction materials and specifically the cost of affordable housing in turn?
Well, this is going to be detrimental to our economy. When we think about the housing shortage we currently have right now, we are short about 4.5 million homes currently right now. And when we think about lumber, we import 46% of our lumber, and approximately 58% of that comes from Canada. So we can project to see at least, from the to the medium home, we're going to see about ten to $15,000 increase just due to that lumber. And when we think about cement, that's another major component that we use in the construction of a home. We're going to see another 10 to 15% increase on that. But when we think about the massive amounts of cement that we use throughout this country for our bridges, our roads, every major infrastructure that we create in the United States, this is going to be a detriment and a huge delay and price increase into the creation of all these things that we use here in the United States.
Now, Trump's main cost reduction tool is obviously not tariffs, it's increasing domestic energy production. How do you view the cost increasing potential of tariffs when paired with the cost decreasing potential of Trump's energy policy?
Well, I understand what the president is trying to do. He's trying to create policy changes here within the United States. He wants to be able to see the United States start to drill, start to manufacture more here. But currently, we don't have that capacity. We can't meet the needs of the consumer with what the United States has. We have to have good trade agreements with foreign nations in order to be able to meet the needs of the American public. So when we think about the cost of petroleum, yes, we can dig. That takes time, and until that infrastructure is being able to be supported, the American people are going to be paying the price at the pump.
Do you think that we could see things kind of level out with Trump's new economic arrangement in the next few years, or do you think it won't happen in his own presidency?
You know, I think it's going to take several years in order for this to be able to come to fruition where we start seeing more of a positive impact on our economy. I think we all understand the reason for tariffs. We want to be able to support the creation of businesses producing here in the United States. Right now, we have a negative trade imbalance of about $112 billion, and he's trying to rectify that. But I think the president should really listen to his own advisors who have said that a increase over time in tariffs would help the economy. Right now, he's trying to force the market and force state legislation and federal legislation to create new policies in order to pave the way for us to be able to dig, for us to be able to mine and do all the things that could be hazardous to the American people's health and also to the stability in the economy.
I want to come back to the impact of tariffs, specifically on workers and businesses. How do you think it might play out in that regard?
Well, when we have this destabilization in the workforce right now that we currently have, just in the construction industry, we're nearly a half a million people short in the construction industry. And now, when you talk about deportation of undocumented immigrants, that's going to keep the workforce unstabilized in this country. And then we're adding on tariffs on top of that. We're going to see probably more of a demand for people to start looking for work, and whether they're exiting the country or coming into the country legally, it's really going to destabilize our workforce. And so we're sort of setting up this perfect storm to happen in our economy. And I urge the president to be very mindful of creating stability within the construction industry, So that way we can build the bridges and roads that we need and the housing to house the American population.
I mean, what you're describing is a pretty big shift for construction companies themselves. Are we seeing companies start to respond to these tariffs and to these shifts already?
Well, I think that with construction companies, what they value is predictability in the market. And right now, they can predict that prices are going to increase. What they can't predict is what inflation will do. And that inflation number, I think, is what's going to be detrimental to their profit and loss sheets and the opportunity to be able to expand their own businesses. And I think most importantly, we need our construction industry to be strong. We need a strong workforce. We need to bring stability into this market because everything that the U.S. economy touches is started with the development and the creation of everything that the construction industry does. That's how much we touch in this economy.
Yeah, I mean, everything happens inside. So many things happen inside buildings that get built by the construction industry, obviously. So just in closing here, George, what advice do you have for construction company leaders trying to navigate the uncertainty surrounding all of this?
Right now is the time to be able to unite. We need to have a strong voice in educating Congress and educating the president on the impacts of his tariffs. I think we all can agree as Americans, we want more products to be able to be created here. We want to be able to manufacture here. We want a stable workforce. So we support the president in those efforts. It just can't be at the cost and the detriment to the construction industry and to the consumers. So, we stand supported, with the president, but we ask everybody to speak up, speak to your local Congress people, and really start to educate on the impact as we're going through this, what I believe we're headed into a trade war.
All right, well, George Carrillo, CEO of the Hispanic Construction Council, thank you so much for your perspective on this.